It was nearing midnight when Laura Thompson sat on the cold kitchen floor, her baby boy, Eli, crying softly in the next room. The apartment was dim, the light flickering occasionally. A steady hum from the fridge filled the silence. Laura wrapped herself in a tattered blanket, her mind racing. She glanced over at the empty can of formula on the counter. Her hands trembled as she reached for her phone. It had been a long day, the same exhausting routine. She had tried everything to make her son's cries stop, but her $40 job at the diner had barely covered the rent this month, let alone the formula. She paused. With a sigh, Lara's thumb hovered over her brother's name on her contacts list. He had helped her in the past, but she hated asking for more. She typed out a simple message. "Mark, I'm really sorry to bother you again, but Eli's almost out of formula. I get paid on Friday, but I need $50 to get him through. Please, I'll pay you back as soon as I can." She stared at the message for a moment, then hit send. Seconds later, her phone buzzed with a new message. But it wasn't Mark's name on the screen. It was a complete stranger's number, Jackson Alden. "I think you meant to send this to someone else." Lara's stomach dropped. She had made a mistake, one wrong digit. She panicked. Quickly, she typed, "Sorry, wrong number. Please ignore." She tossed the phone aside, pulling the blanket tighter around her. Another failure to add to the pile. 3 blocks away, in his penthouse office with a view of the city, Jackson Alden stared at the message on his private phone. He never gave his number out, but somehow, this text had landed in his inbox. He read it again. It was no spam message. It was raw, desperate. "Eli's almost out of formula. I get paid on Friday. Please, I'll pay you back." Jackson's thoughts drifted. He was a self-made billionaire with enough resources to never worry about money again. Yet this was different. Something about the message seemed human, vulnerable. Jackson didn't often get personal messages like this, let alone respond to them. But something inside him urged him to act. He typed back, "Is your baby going to be okay?" Laura read the message in disbelief. A stranger, a man she didn't even know, had followed up. Who asks about a baby like that? She thought, unsure of how to react. She almost blocked him, but something about his simplicity made her pause. "We'll manage," she typed back. Another response. "I can help."
No strings.
Laura scoffed, but the desperation in her chest was too much. She quickly sent him her Venmo information. The moment she hit send, she regretted it. She didn't trust strangers, and the $50 she needed for Eli suddenly felt irrelevant. She had no idea what she was getting herself into. 3 seconds later, her phone buzzed again. $5,000 received from Jackson Alden. Laura froze. She opened her Venmo app and blinked, not believing her eyes. The screen showed the transfer was real. Her fingers shook as she typed a response. "This is too much. I only needed $50. The reply came quickly. "It's already yours."
No catch.
One less thing to worry about. Laura sat in silence, the weight of the situation sinking in. This stranger, this billionaire, had just done something she couldn't even comprehend. Laura didn't know how to feel. She had never been the kind of person to accept charity, but this was different. It wasn't pity. Jackson wasn't offering charity. She stared at her phone, wondering why someone like him would care. She hadn't even told him her son's name. How could he be so sure of himself? So sure of what was right? The next day, a delivery arrived, boxes filled with high-end baby formula, diapers, baby wipes, and even clothes. It was overwhelming. The packages were nothing like she had ever seen. Organic. Premium. Like something out of a rich mom's Instagram feed. At the bottom of one of the boxes was a note that simply said, "Noah deserves better than just getting by." It wasn't signed. Lara's heart sank. She knew she had to respond, but she didn't know how. Later that day, Laura decided to search Jackson Alden online. What she found left her speechless. Jackson was no ordinary billionaire. He had founded several successful tech companies and was one of the most reclusive men in Silicon Valley. There were only 3 public photos of him, all somber and serious. But why would he help her? Why would he send $5,000 to a woman he didn't even know? When she looked back at the message thread, she saw his words in a new light. Just take care of Noah. Laura thought about how he must have understood the fear and shame of being in her situation. As days went by, Laura couldn't shake the feeling that Jackson had somehow seen something in her, something she hadn't even recognized in herself. When he offered her a job at his company, Helix Core, she was hesitant at first. She had no experience in corporate environments, and she was still unsure about him. But Jackson's words stuck with her. I believe in investing in people. She accepted. When Laura walked into the building on her first day, it wasn't the corporate world she had imagined. The lobby was simple, efficient, and devoid of arrogance. She was welcomed by Ava, Jackson's assistant, who led her to a quiet office. And to her surprise, there was a small nursery for Noah, a space made just for him. As Laura settled into her new role, things began to change. She found herself using her skills in accounting and auditing, picking up on patterns that others missed. It was like she had been waiting for this moment her whole life. Then, Jackson began confiding in her. The company was in trouble, and the people running it weren't as trustworthy as they appeared. He needed her help. He couldn't do it alone. Together, they started to investigate a potential embezzlement scheme within the company. Jackson trusted her with everything, and Laura felt like she was finally doing something important. Weeks passed, and Lara's work in the office became more intense. She uncovered suspicious vendor payments, ghost accounts, and hidden money trails. But there was someone in the company, Vincent Harmon, who was behind it all. Jackson had suspected him for a long time, but it was Laura who found the proof. In a tense meeting, Jackson confronted Vincent, and it became clear that Vincent had been siphoning millions for years. But then Vincent made a move. He tried to frame Jackson and discredit Laura, using his influence to manipulate the board. Jackson remained calm, knowing that if he moved too soon, Vincent would turn the tables. The trap was set. Jackson and Laura had gathered enough evidence, and with Keller's help, they exposed Vincent's fraud. The company was saved, and Vincent was removed from his position. In the aftermath, Jackson offered Laura a permanent role as the head of internal audit, with full autonomy to shape the department. She had come a long way from the single mother scraping by. She had found her place, her purpose, and her voice. Lara's life had transformed in ways she never imagined. No longer struggling to make ends meet, she had a future and a new family dynamic with Jackson and Noah. As Jackson took her out for coffee one evening, he smiled at her and said, "You've changed my life too, Laura. Not just because of the job, but because you saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself." She smiled, watching Noah play, and realized that the real miracle wasn't the money or the job. It was finding her strength when she thought it was all gone.